In this week's review, I'm going to tell you guys, if you have a chance, whenever you guys watch any of my videos, I recommend you watch to the very end or, fast forward the review, because a lot of the good content I've been putting for the last couple of weeks in the end. Guys, I got a magazine here which is called Startling Detective, and before I say anything much, I'm going to tell you guys Halloween is coming up. If you have grandchildren or very young kids, if you're one of those guys that, married a very young woman and you have kids, guys, get them this robot plans here for upcoming Halloween. Instead of spending money in a costume, let them create their own costume. Here you will learn how to create a 7-foot robot, which is phenomenal. Here the kid is inside. And also there's a coupon here if you want to order your very own laser gun plans that go with the robot. It's a phenomenal thing for you to get your loved one. Again, here is the 7-foot monster robot plans, and it's a fabulous item. And this is a House of the Unusual specialty. Like I said, you're going to love it. It is really good. Get it. You can get it on eBay for now. As you guys know, my website has been down for a couple of months, and I've been a little lazy, you could say, trying to get it back up, but I will probably get it soon. But for now, eBay and Etsy is where most of my sales are happening. The reason I have a Startling Detective here is because I've said to you guys many times that in the 1980s, or let's say in the 1970s, between 1960, well now we're saying 60s, but between 1967, 68 is when mail orders started. And between 1972 through about 1979, it was wild. Every comic book you bought had, hundreds of ads. Any Boys Life magazine you would buy, you get about 10, 11 pages of ads. And then in the 80s, it started dwindling down. And of course, everybody knows that WWF, World Wrestling Federation at the time, started taking off. And as it took off, it was phenomenal. And what I'm saying phenomenal is that all the wrestling magazines then had a resurgence of mail order, ads and companies that emerged in the 1980s. One of those was Brad's Fun Shop. Over here, we had another company. This company was called Lakeside Products. And the reason I have it here in front of me is to show you guys that, now this magazine, though, is a 1997 magazine, okay? So, this lasted from the 80s almost into the early 90s. As you could see here, if we look at it, see it says 1997? And the company was named Lakeside Products. Okay, now Lakeside Products was actually a company that sold a lot of stuff. And they started around the same time as Brad's Fun Shop. And as you could see, you had the novelty items, but the x-ray glasses on the top there. You had the Uzi here and the pellet firing pistols, which are the pistols that made Honor House very famous in the 80s. And like I said, Honor House stopped selling novelties around 1982. And then in 84 through about maybe 1997, around there, a company bought them out called Guaranteed Distributors. And they sold on all the gun magazines, Guns magazine, which is, called Guns, Sports Illustrated. They would sell this pellet firing pistols for $4.95. So if you take, that's how a lot of people wonder what happened to the original Honor House. Well, that's exactly what happened. Now, if you go through the magazine, you will notice in different parts of the magazine, you see, here you have a Paladin Press. This company was known to sell a lot of anarchist books, and one was called The Poor Man's James Bond that actually showed you how to make bombs and stuff, which it was crazy. But that company, I think, is still in business today. I don't know if they sell the same exact books, but I just wanted to go through a couple of pages here to show you guys real quick that these magazines were also filled with ads. You see over here? Detective ads. Let me see if we can get to one here that's very famous from here you go. This one again, International Police Department, whatever. This is a famous ad that you would see a lot in Boys Life magazine. and then, you know, sold badges and detective, you know, kits like that. And let me see. I'm just skimming through it because, you know, we're not here to review this magazine, but I want to show you guys that, you know, they were known and filled with ads in the 90s where mail order was still, I mean, at this time, you really don't have the internet yet, you know? So you see you have all the classifieds, pages and pages of classified. Of course, there's only 4 there, but I'm just showing you guys. I was hoping that there was maybe 1 or 2 more ads in here, but okay, I don't see any. Maybe I passed it, but let's put that to the side. I also want to show you guys 2 books that I came across. Now, this I'm not selling. I'm just saying that in my collection. Over here, we have a very famous book that a lot of people have heard of. I'm not sure exactly how many folks might have a copy of it. But the book here entitled, let me just get a little closer here. How to Build a Flying Saucer After and Other Proposals in Speculative Engineering, right? Speculative. I'm reading through the phone, guys, like I've always said, and this makes it a little hard. But this is a really cool book. I've read this book, and it really has an interesting view. Now, this book is from the early 70s, I think. So sometimes you can still get a copy of it. I mean, if you look on eBay, you could probably find somebody selling copies. I have a couple. I have like 3 or 4 copies of it because I bought it way back in the day. Now, we all know that the one video that I think was my hottest video so far was the one with the air car. I'll put the ad up so you guys remember the famous "You Can Float on Air" from Boys Life magazine. That particular video actually hit 66,000 views in almost 4 weeks. This guy, the guy who did that, Ross is his name actually. See, David Ross, the guy who used to run that ad, he's passed away now. If you see, he wrote this here book, and in the book he tells a story of how, you know, how he did it, how he thought about the idea. And in back of the book, and I'm just skimming through the book quickly, you'll notice he actually prints the plans on the book itself and all that stuff. But if you guys are into mail order and you like to read stories, if you can get a copy, I mean, this is not available anymore. But because of this book, I was able to get his phone number. And like I said, and I've said it in the past, I actually spoke with him 3 times. I called him on 3 different occasions and asked him, you know, concerning the float on air ad. And the reason I was so interested, because I wanted to ask his experience on it and how much money he had made, or if he could tell, which he was really kind enough to let me know that the ad used to pay for his car. And that was, I mean, good enough, because he ran it for over almost, I would say, from 1967, 68 to about, you know, 2010, almost like around the time he died. Now, I'm not going to review this catalog, guys, but if you look at any Boys Life magazine, you're going to see novelty items that are sold by the big 3. This is one of the original catalogs. I'm going to say that I'm sure there's some stuff in here about the sea monkey. So, Todd, if you're watching, I'm sure that you're going to probably want a copy of this catalog too. I know, I haven't sent you the other one yet. I will, I promise. But, you know, I'm sure I'm going to look through this. If there is anything, I'm going to make you a copy, because I know you collect everything mail order sea monkeys. I'm going to review today a catalog that, if you guys are familiar, I'm putting it up. As I put it up, let me show you the ad. This is the Fun House, not the Fun Factory that I own, the Fun House. This is the catalog, and this is the famous one where you see the money bag. It says $1 million in U.S. banknotes. And yes, here you go, Todd. Look at that, Todd. The famous sea monkeys. Now, this catalog is kind of odd in size and stuff, so it's going to be hard to actually duplicate. But I will go quickly through it so you guys can see it at the end of this video. Now, what I am reviewing this video are the famous, and I'm saying famous, horror records of the 1970s. You have, the most famous one is probably the Johnson Smith right here, horror sounds or horror record. And it's got the haunted house, torture chamber, vampire, banshee, werewolves. As I'm showing this record, I'm actually playing a sound bite of it on the side here. And one thing I'm going to tell you guys is the guy who is was the CEO of Johnson Smith Company between I believe it was 1967 or so, all the way up to 2010. The name is Craig Tarbeck. And Craig is actually the guy that does the scream on this record. This record was offered all the time. Anytime you see any Johnson Smith ads, you will see that the record was sold for 95 cents. And at times, it was recommended for you to buy it together with the 7-foot life-size ghost, or U-Control ghost as they called it. In the early days of Johnson Smith, when they advertised the ghost, they used to call it the 7-foot monster ghost, which Honor House, of course, sold for many years, and the Melton Company sold as well. Now, this record was done, I believe, if I'm correct, in either Michigan or Brooklyn, New York. And Craig, I guess, like I said to you, was the guy who did the sound effects on it. Now, the opposite side, if you guys could see here, has, let me see if I can see, wind, storm, screams, etc. Screams, goblins, wolves, ghosts, screaming man, screaming woman, eerie music, screams, groans, and laughs. That's the second, that's part B. Each side is about 5.5 minutes long. It's really cool. I did sell this on CD a few years back. I have not done it in a while. I might consider actually running a copy of this, like making a vinyl copy of this record, which I'm also going to be doing a special on the haunting. Now, I didn't bring the haunting record with me today because it's going to be a totally review on it, and a different review, and the reason it's going to be different is because I'm planning to actually duplicate that haunting record. I've been working on it for a couple of years now, and I finally decided I'm going to do it soon, and I'm going to offer it like in a box kit, maybe a t-shirt and stuff with it. But okay, putting this to the side, when this record was being sold in the Johnson Smith catalog, I was afraid to order it as a kid. I actually obtained several copies. I have over maybe 15 copies of this record, and that's because, of course, I bought them as an adult. So every time I saw a bargain for one, I would get it. Now, there is a version of 1973 of this record. I think this is the one that is a little longer than the other versions. So I forgot exactly why one particular version was not sold, or they stopped selling it. There was a reason for it, but there are two versions. When I'm saying two versions, is one is just slightly a little different, but by a minor fact, not by a lot, okay? So having said that, I'm going to tell you guys that when I do have both versions on me, I will probably play both side by side. I need to look at some of my old notes and find out what was the difference. I know Craig Tarbeck told me that there was one that Johnson Smith stopped selling, and it was made in 1973. I think it was a little too scary for kids. I forgot what exactly happened, but there are actually two versions of this record, and very few people know about it. I didn't know until Craig notified me. I'm very good friends with Craig. The poor guy's now 78 years old, but he was the CEO of Johnson Smith for many years, and he has been a great friend of mine for almost 30 years now. Okay, guys, now having forward, the first record that I ever bought, and I bought it in a store named Two Guys in New Jersey, is this record. I'm going to have to bend this up a little, which is the chilling, thrilling sounds of the haunted house. It's the greatest horror record, I think, that I ever seen. I will ever own. I mean, I love it. If you look at the mansion, it looks like there's water, which is really the weeds, but it looks like water flowing like it's in the middle of a river. It gives you that impression, but if you look at it close, it's supposed to be grass growing in the cemetery, and the wind is blowing on it. But when you look at it far away and you look it up real quick, you would think that this record actually has, like it looks like a river flowing, and the house is in the middle of the ocean or the creek or the river there, whatever. But if you look at this haunted house, it's just unique. I don't think Disney ever made a better cover than this. Now, there is a British version of this record that has a haunted house that looks like the Munsters house. I have that cover. I actually have 2 of those, and I ordered them. They're from Britain. Same exact record. It plays the same exact thing, both sounds, but that particular version is, I think, was the first one, or the British version of it. And they also have this in a white cover, which is the same thing. And there's another one that says here, enclosed with an exploding yellow thing here. Guys, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I own probably 20 of these records, and I have all the versions and everything because it's my favorite all-time record. Because when I bought this record for $1.50, and 2 guys at the age of maybe 8 and a half, almost 9 years old, it took me months before I actually listened to it because I was terrified of the record. But here's the back of it. See, and here it tells you everything. And here you can hear that famous cat fight from in fact, I think every haunted house they play and stuff, you always hear where it goes like, that type of sound. But this record is actually the first recording of that. And then when you pull out the inside, you have in the party goods, where you can make your own invitations and the classic, thing to do to run a party or do a Halloween party in your house. I love this record. I think it's probably the staple of horror records from the 1970s. What I'm saying to you guys is that because I bought this record in probably, like I said, in the I think it must have been 1972, 73. I was so scared of this record that when I had to order this record, I just never did. And then on top of that, the other record that I had, the Gale House, I got that way when I was an adult. I got that like in the late 90s, actually, when eBay was around, and I started, purchasing them on eBay and stuff. But let's now go and review the Fun Factory catalog. P.O. Box 1225, Newark, New Jersey. And I'll put up in the top there, I'll put the ad so you guys can see what I'm talking about. That's the one that was very famous. And here you go. This is the guy that actually, the name of the guy who used to own this company is Jack Aboff. I've told a little history about my interreactions with him a couple of times, and you can hear if you watch some of my other videos. I probably go it, but he was the guy he had a company called Jetco Publishing, which he used as an advertising agency to run ads in magazines, but he also used that as the publisher for 1001 Free Things. This is a book that you see everywhere, every catalog, Johnson Smith and all that sold it. Spooky sheets over here. These are sheets that you drop in water and they disappear. So let me try to go over it really quick because it's kind of small here. Catalog. I'm gonna try to see how I can, zoom into it a little. But as you guys could see, the artwork in this catalog is really nice. I was very, very impressed with this. And I remember getting this catalog in 1970 something when I ordered the $1 million for 50 cents. So you had to pay 50 cents for this catalog. I remember having this. I thought this was the greatest prank ever. I mean, it was stupid. It was just a piggy bank, but it was supposed to be a parking meter that you put next to the toilet. So I loved the expression on the guy there, see? Because he took too long sitting down. But anyway, I had that. I still probably have it somewhere, but I haven't seen it in a while. But I just want to go through the pages here that you guys could see what type of novelties were offered there, So you take a look. They're very similar to to Johnson Smith a lot, but you know, this one was kind of cool. I don't know why he picked this type of catalog like this, which is, it's such an odd size. You know, it's it looks more like those things when you go into a vacation and you stop in one of those pit stops for the car, you know, where you get those flyers that that show you the different sightseeing that you can do. It's really like an awkward size. See up here, you got the ant farm, tattoo, sour mouth gum. Here's the envelope, the fun house. Oh, actually, wow. Comes out. See? Take a look at the items. Now, it does have a lot of stuff, and I'm surprised because, you know, I guess he must have made most of his money with that particular ad. I guess what he did is that what Jack Abuff did the most was he used to run the 50-cent ads. Instead of running half-page ads and full-page ads in comic books, he spent a lot of money by running that particular ad on almost every comic, and you know, here's the secret spy scope. And then what he would do in the process is that he would send out the catalogs, and this would make his sales, you know. So he just got the mailing list, and that's how he did it, by offering you $1 million in U.S. banknotes, and then you sent him 50 cents, and you got this catalog in return. And look at all the products you can buy from here, see? Again, here is this pistol. I showed it one time, I think, in one of my reviews. This is the pistol that you can turn the tip and say you shoot straight. It actually shoots to the side. Great gag, because you could be pointing at somebody, and then the person next to you doesn't know, and then they get squirted with water. Here is the money maker up here in the top. See the switchblade comb, bullet holes. I mean, if you look overall, like I said, the artwork of this catalog is fabulous. It's really, really cool. I remember speaking to the widow of Jack Abuff, and I asked her what happened with all the novelties and stuff he had. And she was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. He's the only one that knew about that when he passed away. I mean, it's funny though, she was really clueless. Here's the secret spy camera. Here it is, see? That's the famous picture he used to have in the $1 million in U.S. banknotes. And actually what he sent you were duplicate banknotes from that were printed from the Historical Documents Company, which is the one that makes the treasure map and you know, and those antique. Like anytime you go to a historical site, national site in Washington D.C. or anything, and they sell those parchment papers, the company that makes that is the same company that makes those $1 million bills. See? Now again, guys, it's kind of an odd catalog to show, so I'm going here quickly through it so you can get an idea of what they sold back in those days. See? I might try to see if it's even possible to duplicate this catalog. I'm going to talk to my printer about it and see what he thinks, because it is such a weird shape. You know, like I said, oh, one thing I forgot to mention, and I'll mention it now. See here, you have he also sold the 7-foot monster-sized monster, see? Now, if he actually rewrote the ad there a little different, as you can see, right? And he was selling them for $1.49. Now, I'm surprised about that, because all the times I spoke with him, and he knew I was looking for that, he never actually mentioned that he had sold them. And then I realized after he passed away, and I'm like, my gosh, man. Because I would have loved to have known a lot of things, information about those 7-foot monsters, man. Here is, see, this famous spud gun, phony hamburger, phony faucet, see, gorilla hands. Now, I'm going like this because I'm looking through the phone to read the catalog, because the phone is right in front of me. So it's kind of hard for me to, you know, see the stuff, because I have to like look through the side of the phone, peek on the side as I do. But anyway, you guys are very familiar with Doogie Doo. That's such a funny dog. He didn't do it. That's the fake dog poop. Up here, you could see he's using the guy that's hypnotizing the lady from American Circle. This is pretty cool. This item actually is still sold in a lot of Chinese stores. When I'm saying Chinese trinkets, you go to those Asian stores and they have this like just a little ball hanging there, and it causes that illusion. Nothing to do with hypnotism, but I love the way he portrayed it here because it would make me want to buy it. Okay, you see the talking toilet, the fake parking tickets. Most of these ads you're going to find in Boys Life magazine, because a lot of times Jack Aboff would run half or maybe a quarter page ads and say all this novelty 88 cents and so forth, and that's, like I said, he used to get a lot of orders and then send out as many catalogs as he could, and that's how he made his sales. It's kind of funny though, because when I ordered maybe 1 or 3 times with the Fun Factory, and I remember only receiving 1 catalog, which is crazy. You would think he would send me a catalog each time I actually ordered something, But here you go, see? Falsies right here, the box gags. These are kind of like adult gags. Then last but not least, grow your own peanuts, whatever. Giant fly. What is this up here? This is rattle box. Movie posters, sold for $1.29. And here's the famous sea monkeys, which I'm sure about right now, when I'm showing this to my buddy Todd, because I'm sure he's watching this video, he's salivating about wanting to have a copy of this catalog. I know him. But anyway, guys, here it is. I'm approaching. I'm wearing West Orange here. This looks like a setup for some type of attraction, haunted house. It's weird. And it's the Thomas Edison National Historic Park. It looks real cool. See it there? I wonder what it is. Can't see the front of it, but I'm curious. Edison cement slab from the first highway in New Jersey, built in 1912. Wow, the first highway in New Jersey. Wonder what the heck this is. Look at this. Looking at the back of it, it says here, let me see. That's so cool. It's a replica of the first motion picture studio. This is so cool. Park entrance. Please use. I'm assuming this is Thomas Edison's home. I'm not sure. But this is really cool. Can't see the front of it. I don't know if I could have access into the park here. You see what this is, if I can bring it up. The phone just doing it. Oh, this is cool. I think this is Thomas Edison's home. It's got to be Thomas Edison. It's probably closed right now. It's 6 p.m. Let me take a look. National Park Services. Thomas Edison National Historic Park. Ah, yeah, this is probably his home. Wow, this is so cool. Yep. Need to actually visit here. Let's see what it says here. Welcome. Yep. Thursday through Saturday. Cool. Yep. So I guess what I'm looking at is actually his home right here. Wow. This is really cool. So this is where it's located. The surrounding area. And this, yep. This is I don't know if it's the home or the factory, but I need to actually check this out. Yep. Let me actually walk towards the back here. They don't build these buildings like they used to anymore. This is the opposite side. A beautiful thing, actually. I live very close to it. I'm surprised that let me see if I can bring that in a little closer there. 1940 world. Okay. Again, I live about 20 minutes from this area, and I've never been here, which is really interesting. Here's probably where at one time a lot of things had to do with this. This is really fun. Look at the chimney. So this is a really large area. I guess this might have been the entrance at one time. This is the back. Oh, look at this. Look at that beautiful tower. That's so cool. Okay, it says Edison on top. It's the back. I'm assuming that years ago, maybe he owned all this property back here as well. Looks like a parking area, but wow, this is really, really cool. Let me see. Sure would love to see the front of that makeshift theater that looks like a haunted house, but everything's closed. I guess Thursday might be my destination here. Today is Monday, and it says it's open Thursday through Fridays. So, wow, this is history in the making. A lot of you guys know that Nikola Tesla worked for Thomas Edison, and I'm sure, who knows? I mean, I'm positive he'd probably been in this particular home many, many times. But Nikola Tesla was his employee, and they say Thomas Edison actually stole a lot of his patents, you know. But anyway, this I'm doing today in this week's review instead of a comic book catalog, because I don't want to keep repeating catalogs, and then at the end you're doing the same thing over and over and people get tired, you know. So guys, I happened to pass by the Thomas Edison laboratory or home. I need to find out a little more, but this is such a cool video. I mean, cool project. I'm definitely coming here. Okay, here's the telephone number that I need to call. And here it says this is the laboratory. So we're looking at his laboratory here. Yep. We're looking at his laboratory. Yep. So it's not, I don't know if it's, I believe I've been told that his home is close by, unless, you know, but the whole thing is this is Thomas Edison's laboratory. Look how cool that is. And the picture I saw before, which is the one right here again and there, I'm assuming was taken here. That's the visitor center in there. And you guys can look in the back there. You know, like I said, guys, Nikola Tesla worked here. I'm positive of that. I haven't done the research on it, but I'm guaranteeing that it's going to be, because, again, any information will be there. 211 Main Street in West Orange. And here I see on the trees, see the Model T right there, some of the signs. And here you see the Edison. I've been trying to actually visit the laboratory of Nikola Tesla, but it's actually, well, see, see what I'm saying? This looks like a haunted house there. It looks like it's definitely a trailer of some sort, but let me see if you guys can see it better. But this is such a great looking item. I would love to have a space to be able to build something similar and have this as a dark ride. If you guys notice though, I think it has tracks here. Probably it's used to spin it around. I'm not sure what the story is, but this is beautiful, man. Beautiful. I love it. I actually stopped because of this building right here. Look at that. Look at the Thomas Edison. Guys, this is history. You know what? It's a shame I live only 20 minutes away and I have never come here. In fact, I got to be honest, I didn't even know this existed here. But you know, you guys got to understand, I live in New Jersey, and the part of New Jersey I live in is with all the histories from mail order Novelties to Honor House. You know, all the companies started only 10-20 miles from my area. And where I actually live, you have the beginnings of Joe Weider, Charles Atlas, the Moon Monster fan club. All those were started only blocks from my house. In fact, you can say that the original Charles Atlas company and Mike Marvel, this are all the strongmen that used to advertise in the, in all the magazines of the era. Look at that. Look at the house there. Let me see if I can get a better shot there. But all those in the area were just blocks from my house. And as I said, the Moon Monster fan club was literally less than 2 miles from my home. And all the other areas were just, Mike Marvel was probably less than a mile. Charles Atlas, half a mile from home. This is where, if you look at any comic from the 1950s, early 1940s, let me see if I can get the front of the house of this. You're gonna see those ads, and you'll see, I'll say Union City, New Jersey. I really can't get to see much of it, but let me try to zoom in there. See what I'm saying, guys? I wish I could see the front of this. It's driving me nuts, but if you notice, the rest of the area here it's fenced off, and I guess I would have to jump the fence and probably get arrested. I'm not gonna do that, but I will definitely come in and film that in a later segment. See, again, this is an original building, so we're looking at This is phenomenal. Okay, guys? Hopefully, I hope you enjoyed this. And this is in West Orange, New Jersey. And I do believe that someone told me, not someone, actually my daughter-in-law told me that in this area, you can also find not too far from me, the original Edgar Allan Poe's home as well. So guys, the Tesla, unfortunately, the laboratory is like 2.5 hours away. I got to take a day just to drive there because it is a pretty far drive. But I will go to the Tesla laboratory, and you know, it did burn down, but they actually opened it to the public just I think about a couple of months ago. So take care, guys. Guys, as I had said, this is the second part we're adding for the sea monkeys, and these are the live eggs. Now I've left this thing for 36 hours, so the water should be so far in good condition. It should have been conditioned, and everything, all the bad stuff in it should have been purified. Okay, so now we're gonna add the eggs to the water mixture. Okay, there are the eggs. Now supposedly in 7 days we'll add the food for the first time, but let's see what happens in a few days and see what happens to the sea monkeys, if they're gonna be growing and stuff. So I did that. You just add it. I'm not gonna stir it or anything because it just says add, and we're gonna go from there. Okay, so this are the sea monkeys have been added. The eggs have been added to the water. So we'll see in the next couple of days. Okay, so I will keep you up to date as how the sea monkeys are growing.